and he's the executive member of the medical legal group again. And our own friend, Dr. Moulail, Joseph Moulail, Dr. Balachandran, is our own product. I did not introduce them. Dr. Sabarinath, Dr. Thanya Krishnan, she's the senior consultant in Financial Hospital, Thaikad. And all senior members are assembled here. Because I cannot see in my mobile. Then Darli Madam, Professor of HOD Pediatrics ICH, Priya, Dr. Prija, Dr. Saleha, and Dr. Manu, and all senior members, IAPs here. This is one of the important occasions where we are planning to dedicate our State President's Action Plan Promise 22 regarding medical legal awareness among the pediatricians as well as general practitioners. The CME and panel discussion intended to the very important subject which everybody should know. Not only the pediatrician, but the adults even can, because most of the cases are occurring every day. One case is there, or I think more than one case. So we should be aware of the situations, and I am sure that the panel, the introductory subject by Sonia, as well as the panel discussion, definitely will enrich our pediatricians as well as general practitioners. I am happy that Dr. Vijayakumar has put forward this very important subject. I always feel that even all seniors are less aware of the field. Now we know the whole of India is concerned. Medical legal problems are increasing day by day. So on behalf of IAP Kottayam as a KGMOA, together we are conducting. We all are very happily accepting your presentation. I wish this meeting and the discussion a grand success. Best of luck. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. This program, this Presidential Action Plan, has been the master brain of our President Vijayakumar sir. Sir has a great vision in empowering our practitioners and pediatricians about the medical legal aspects of pediatrics, as well as giving them updates and insight into this aspect. I invite sir for his address.
The respected President IAP Kottayam, Pattani sir, respected Dr. V.K. Goyal, guest of honor, and the Chairperson of the National Medicolegal Group, Dr. Sonia Kanitkar Madam, Honorary Secretary, National Medicolegal Group, Dr. Ranjith P, Chairperson, Presidential Action Plan of Medicolegal Awareness, and the South Zone EB member of National Medicolegal Group, Dr. Johnny Sebastian, Honorary Secretary and my best friend, and he's the anchor man behind all the Presidential Action Plan, Dr. Bennet Xylem, Chairperson of Empowering General Practitioners Presidential Action Plan, Dr. Sabarinath, President KGMOA, and the respected senior faculty members and panelists, Dr. Joseph Moulail, Dr. Balachandar, Dr. Purushothaman sir, Dr. Thanya, Prija, Dr. Manjusha, and all our senior members and faculty members. An awareness in the medical legal aspect is a must for every pediatrician or every doctor, I say, especially now the POCSO cases and the child abuse, neglect, and even professional negligence are on increase now. Even 2 days back, we had a case. The newspapers in Kerala are filled with the story of a battered baby. Hence, we have chosen medical legal awareness as an IAP Presidential Action Plan of this year. I congratulate Dr. Ranjith and his team for giving a sincere start for this program. And this is the second CME, and this is a panel discussion. And all panelists are eminent speakers and eminent faculty members with very great knowledge in this field. I wish the program a grand success. Jai Hind and Jai IAP. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a great honor to have V.K. Goyal, sir, as a guest of honor this evening. Sir, thank you so much for joining us again despite your busy schedule. I invite you for your address.
Thank you, Dr. Manjusha, for inviting me, and I thank all the people here. First of all, I thank IAP Kerala and IAP Kottayam and KGMOA Kottayam for inviting me here for the prestigious CME under the President's Action Plan, and to bring the medical legal awareness among the pediatricians and among empowering general practitioners. I thank the President IAP Kottayam, Dr. Joseph, and Secretary Dr. Preja, and IAP and Dr. Sabarinath, President KGMOA Kottayam, and Dr. Tony Thomas, Secretary KGMOA Kottayam, for inviting me here to the prestigious webinar. I also thank Dr. Vijayakumar, President Kerala State. This webinar is very important, and we are discussing very much left out topic of POCSO Act. We learn day and night number of things, number of CMEs we attend, number of medical knowledge we have, but POCSO Act is a negligent field where we don't know what is this and how to do the reporting and how to deal with it. Sometimes we are not aware, and sometimes we ignore it. Never ignore these findings. Ever take proper attention and reporting. Otherwise, person involved will be in trouble. Ignorance is law is not the excuse. There are a number of things what I have taken out from the, and Dr. Sonia is here. She is very much expert in POCSO Act. And without going into much detail and without wasting time, I will say we all have to learn this act, because we not on daily basis, but sometimes do definitely we get these type of cases where we suspect sexual abuse is there to our child. If a child cannot be the adolescent, he can be 8, 9 years, 6-year-old child. He may also be sexually abused, who cannot even speak, who cannot even tell, but his actions are there, what we have to judge, what we have to make out and do the proper reporting. And not reporting is bring a trouble to the doctor. This is very important. With these words, I thank you. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Next, I invite our guiding force and the Secretary of the National MLG Group, Sonia Madam. Madam has always been there as a pillar of support, guiding us throughout each CME and telling us what to do and what not to do. Thank you so much, Madam, for being there for us. You are part of our team. Yet, formally, I invite you and I welcome you to our Miss today and invite you for your address.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manjusha. I really like your Master of Ceremonies thing. You are really doing well, and your voice is really good for this. You are doing very well. So I am here because of IAP Kerala and Dr. Vijayakumar, who has started a fantastic program this year. And I am very thankful to all the team of IAP Kottayam for doing this month. I will not name everybody because I feel that all who are present here right now, they are more and very important in their own rights. Everybody is an expert in their own domain. So let me not name anybody. I think all are important here. So I will thank IAP Kerala and our National MLG also and Dr. Goyal sir to be here for this very important CME. When Ranjith asked me what is the topic we should keep, I just thought about it that last time we had communication as the topic, which is very important. And now once our doctors, they know about communication, there is something little specific that we have to, talk to the general doctor also. So I'm happy that Dr. Vijayakumar has involved the general doctors also here. It is fantastic. Congratulations. Now, you see, POCSO is one act which I find that a lot of general doctors also don't know. Even pediatricians don't know. Any specialists, sometimes they also don't know. It has been there since 2012, but awareness is very low. So we are making mistakes. everybody is, not understanding the importance of this act. And that's why it becomes very important that we learn a little bit about it. So I'm going to introduce the topic, what is POCSO and all that, and then panel discussion will be carried on by Dr. Balachandra. Thank you, Dr. Bala, to welcome me also. You are almost, you yourself are a very famous personality. So I think without wasting much time, let us go forward. And I'm also happy to see that the participant number is increasing every time. Today, I see more than 100 participants here, and I hope you reach better and better levels every time. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Madam, for joining us this evening. Now, for the felicitations, I invite Dr. Bennet Xylem, sir. Sir is the chairperson of the Presidential Action Plan Empowering GPs. Sir takes the lead in all the social works that IAP Kerala does, and is a role model for all of us in the social commitment that he has towards children and the society. Inviting you, sir, for your felicitations.
Thank you, Dr. Manjusha. Respected Chair, our Joseph Pattani sir, Secretary Dr. Prija, our State President Dr. Vijayakumar, Secretary Dr. Choni, our Chief Guest Dr. V.K. Goyal, Dr. Sonia Kanitkar, our George F. Mulel sir, the person behind the whole program, Dr. Ranjith and Dr. Bala, and my own friend and colleague, Dr. Dhanya G. Krishnan, all the dignitaries who are in the platform, and my dear friends. Actually, when Dr. Bala told me about this program, I only suggested, like, can we make it as a program for general practitioners also? Because the most respected persons are there in Kottayam. They are Dr. Sabarinath and Dr. Tony. They are the pillars of KGMOA, Kerala Government Medical Officers Association. If we can involve them also, the program will be fantastic, because the main problem what we face in being I'm a community pediatrician, what the problem we face is we try to neglect any POCSO cases who are coming to us. The normal tendency is to, since we don't have a gynecologist, please you can go to the place where the gynecologist is present. That is a normal tendency. So after putting up this topic, Dr. Bala, I said, so this to be imparted to all the practitioners, whether pediatrician, gynecologist, or anybody. So anyway, Dr. Bala agreed for that. Thank you, Dr. Bala, for agreeing and making it as a general practitioners empowerment program also. And we got major dignitaries. Actually, Madam Kanitkar's talk I heard when I attended a TOT program at Bangalore, along with other faculties. Anyway, thank you very much for making this program as a general practitioners empowerment, and wishing all the success for this program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As you rightly said, sir, this becomes a success only if all the practicing pediatricians and all the other non-pediatric fraternity of ours also understand what are the nuances of this act and how to deal with children. So it's a great pleasure to have KGMOA Kottayam joining us today in holding this webinar. I invite Dr. Sabarinath D, the President of KGMOA Kottayam, for his address. Sir, please.
Respected President of IAP Kottayam, Secretary IAP Kottayam, President and Secretary of IAP Kerala, and today's Chief Guest and dignitaries, Goyal sir, Kanitkar ma'am, and our own Mulil sir, Balendra sir, and Dr. Ranjith P, and my dear friends. We are very happy to be associated with IAP again, because I am a IAPN and as well as representing the government doctors of Kottayam district. So this is our second program in the series of empowering of general practitioners. So today's topic is a very apt one, as Bennet Xylem sir aptly pointed out, because there are very much gray areas pertaining to this act, and as well as the practical application of this act in general practice. So as well as we say about the law, law is said to be monotonous, as well as it is said to be complicated. So many people can interpret and practice law in many ways. So a uniformity should be there, and there should be a practical guideline should be uniformly spread out in the field. And as well as the POCSO Act is considered, so it has two aspects. One is for the protection of the children. As pediatricians, it is our primary right, primary responsibility to protect the rights of children who are coming to us for their help. And the second aspect is, as we are dealing with the law, there will be pitfalls. There can be any pitfalls in the law which can adversely affect us as the persons practicing pediatricians. So at the same time, protecting the rights of the children and protecting ourselves. So need a thorough knowledge of the law and as well as the practical aspects, and many different case scenarios also we should discuss. So I once again thank IAP Kottayam for conducting this wonderful program. And I wish all the best for this program. And from behalf of the government doctors in Kottayam and as well as Kerala, we promise that we can do such programs in the future also, so that we will have a very good rapport with IAP and KGMOA. Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure such presidential action plans will take forward your dream, whatever was mentioned now. And it gives us great pleasure, the team Medicolegal Kerala, to see more than 100 participants have joined. And this emphasizes how important the topic is. So we come to the end of today's official function. I request Dr. Preja Madam to propose the word of thanks.
Thank you, Madam. On behalf of IAP Kottayam President Dr. Joseph Pattani sir and our Vice President Dr. Dalius Maman Madam, I thank our IAP State President Dr. Vijayakumar sir and IAP State President Dr. Vijayakumar sir and State Secretary Dr. Johnny Sebastian sir for assisting us in organizing two presidential action plans, that is medical legal awareness and empowering general practitioners today. I thank our distinguished speaker of the day, Dr. Sonia Kanitkar Madam, Honorable Secretary, National Medical Legal Group, who is also a national level trainer in adolescent health and counseling. I thank our panelists, Chairperson, Central IAP Medical Legal Group and past IAP President, VK Goyal sir. I thank Dr. George F. Mulel sir, patron of medical legal issues in Kerala IAP Presidential Action Plan, and Dr. Dhanya G. Krishnan, Junior Consultant, Obstetrics and Gynecology, WNC Psych at Tirundaram. I thank our moderator, Dr. Balindan sir, National Secretary, ECHG, and he is also KGMOA Pathanamthitta President. I thank South Zone EB member, National Medical Legal Group, as well as State Coordinator of Medical Legal Issues, Dr. Ranjith P, in organizing this CME. I thank Dr. Bennet P. Xylem sir, State Coordinator of Empowerment of General Practitioners, who has helped us in conducting our 4th CME under empowerment. And thank you, sir, for always being there for us. I thank KGMOA Kottayam President Dr. Sabarinath Damodaran and Secretary Dr. Tony Thomas for joining hands with us in organizing this very important CME on POCSO Act. And I thank all the delegates on virtual platform for attending this CME today.
Thank you, Madam. So with that, we are going into the proper academics for the day. So it gives us great privilege to invite Dr. Sonia Kanitkar. Madam is the Director and Senior Consultant Pediatrician at Kinder and Adolescent Care Center, Bangalore, and the Honorary Secretary 2122 of the National Medical Legal Group. Madam has been, as already mentioned by many speakers here, she has played a key role in adolescent health, adolescent counseling, and is a national trainer for the medical legal issues as well as adolescent health. She is also the organizing secretary of the National Medical Legal Conference and the proprietor of the YouTube free channel Parenting Teens with Love. She has received many awards and is a keen, enthusiastic pediatrician who is involved in day-to-day activities of our children. Inviting you, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us. So, madam will be speaking on the introduction to the POCSO Act. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Manjusha. I will just share my screen now. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible and the screen is visible.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much that there we have almost 120 participants here. And so this message is going to go to a very good number of general practitioners as well as pediatricians. And I am really happy about that. So I am going to talk today about POCSO. So POCSO, I think, is quite misunderstood by a lot of people. Actually, POCSO is very important for us. Now, let us start with why POCSO came into being. So child abuse, we all know that is rampant in our society. 1 in 5 women and 1 in 13 men, they report having been sexually abused as a child, age from 0 to 17 years. There are 120 million girls and young women under 20 who have suffered some form of forced sexual abuse in their lifetime. So you see, this is the importance of child abuse in our society. And I want to stress one more point. It is not only women, but the males, the boys, they also face the tune of child abuse equally today. With this, I would like to bring to your consideration pornography. Now, this is one place where child abuse is increasing day by day, especially during COVID times. You must have seen in the newspaper, the data are increasing. In 2019, technology firms, they found and they tagged more than 45 million photos and videos as child sexual abuse, according to an investigation by the New York Times. That number has more than doubled in 1 year. And of course, in the last 2 years, it has increased much more because it is easily available on the net and a lot of people are having internet addiction today. So I think this point, I do not need to stress more that something had to be done by the government regarding this child abuse and various forms of sexual abuse for children and adolescents. Another shocking fact which led to the formulation of POCSO was incidents of crime, the juvenile crime, which was tripled in 2 years, that is from 2010 onwards. Then more than 50% of all the crimes against children were related to sexual offenses, and the increased number of juveniles that they started having conflict with law also went up. You can see the figures in the graph, and then there are a lot of news coming up every day when we are reading the newspapers. Kids are raped, and not only kids raped, but the elder kids are raping the younger ones. So this has led to a lot of outcry from the public, and the government had to do something about it. And so came the POCSO Act 2012. So now let me come to the main topic. I'm going to introduce you what and how POCSO Act is important, not only to a specialist, but to any general practitioner, to any doctor, to any registered medical practitioner. It is very important. The guidelines are very strict, and we really need to be aware how we have to act in such situations. So what is POCSO? POCSO is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012, which received the President's assent on June 19, 2012. It was notified in the Gazette of India on June 20th in the same year. And what is the main definition of POCSO? It is any sexual act, whether it is consensual or non-consensual, with a child below 18 years is called sexual offense. Please be very careful. Please read it 2 or 3 times. I give you time here. Please read it carefully. I'll once again read it. Any sexual act, consensual or non-consensual, with any child below 18 years is sexual offense. That's what it means. So we have to consider the word any, consensual or non-consensual, and any child, whether male or female, who is below 18 years is a sexual offense. So I thought that let me first take a case so that we can understand when we are sitting in a clinic or we are sitting in a hospital, we must be able to understand if a case of child abuse comes to me, what do I do? So here it is. So one 11-year-old girl, Vibha, she saw me at my clinic few days back. She had pain abdomen since 3 to 4 days. She has been my regular patient since early childhood, and so I knew her well. She's a middle-class family, and father is working in a factory. Mother is a housewife. Younger sister is 7 years old. She studies in a school. She's an average student. She is not eating well recently. That's what she told me. Her mother also told me that. And also she doesn't watch TV much. She's not playing much recently. This is a red flag sign for me. Recently, and mother's told that she's not playing much. She's not participating much, which is unlike her, as I know her for the last so many years. There is no knowledge of drugs. On probing about physical intimacy, etc., when I interviewed the teenager, she started crying, and she revealed that her uncle had done wrong things when mother went to the market. On probing further, she had no menarche. We have to take all these histories as heads when we interview a teenager or an adolescent. The adolescent is lately depressed for the last few days, but otherwise, as I know her, she's a happy girl. So here we can see that there are a few flag signs which make me understand that there is something wrong with this child. Something has gone wrong with this child. Now, on examination, she's generally a pale and sad person today. She's otherwise a very happy and chirpy child. She has scratches around the mouth and face, which are not explainable here. She has more bruises and lacerations in the lower abdomen and chest. There is no frank bleeding. Cuts and nails are there on thighs. Mental examination was that of confused and depressed state. So now you see, when I see a child or an adolescent like this in my clinic, I have to keep some, things which, we cannot just say that has been a physical abuse, because there are marks on the thighs, there are marks on the private parts. So we have to really be careful here. Now, what happens when we are sitting in the clinic or when we are sitting in some small hospitals? We do three possibilities. We try to either rush or hush off this patient to a surgeon or to a gynec, saying that we cannot help it, or we try to give medical treatment that is first aid and then just ignore the facts and we send her home. These are the second possibilities. Then the third possibility is we should follow the guidelines of Ministry of Family and Health Welfare and POCSO Act. So these are the three possibilities which a doctor sitting in a clinic or a small hospital thinks of. He says, I will either refer this child, or I will just give first aid and send to home. Or third thing is, if we are aware of POCSO Act, then we will follow the guidelines. So what is my purpose today? My purpose today is to tell you what are the guidelines by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to deal with this case. And secondly, what is the POCSO guideline to deal with this case so we can take the right decision. Okay. Now, what are the guidelines of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare? They call it as a medico-legal emergency. Non-reporting is a punishable offense under POCSO Act 2012. Not providing first aid, medical treatment is a medical offense under Criminal Amendment Law Act of 2013. So punishment can be anything from 6 months to a year, with or without fine. Let's go further. Let's have more knowledge. This is about the guidelines. Now, what is the POCSO Act? POCSO Act means Protection of Children Against Sexual Offense. It is an act to protect children from offenses of sexual assault, sexual abuse, pornography. It is an act to provide for provision of special courts for trial of such offenses. It provides that the special court proceedings should be recorded in camera And the trial should take place in the presence of parents or any other person in whom the child has trust or confidence, and for matters connected therewith. This is a very lawyer kind of language, but we need to understand each part of it. So here, POCSO Act covers everything which happens with the child, not only the photos of the child, not only the porno done with the child. Even if a child is coerced to made to see some naked photos, that is a sexual offense. This is the importance of POCSO Act 2012. It covers each and every offense that can be done with the child. This is the Gazette of India. Now, what are the main features of POCSO? Let us be very clear. Of course, there have been many laws and many things which, punishments have been put, but POCSO is a gender-neutral act. That means it considers the child abuse on girls as well as boys on the same platform. Any victim below 18 years of age is considered. An act which ensures child-friendly process to prevent re-victimization. So I will be letting you know how it is a child-friendly process. Police is designated as the responsible protector. This also I will elaborate later. Police has to make all arrangements for legal procedures and medical treatment. So the role of police is helpful to us. Compensation is to be granted within 30 days, even if the accused has not.
You are muted.
Oh, sorry. Now is it okay?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I don't know. Automatically it got muted. I just don't know how. Okay. So, so where you could not hear me? So compensation. Okay. So I will just repeat it once. So the compensation is to be granted within 30 days, even if the accused has not been convicted. Minimum punishment is prescribed and can be up to life imprisonment, depending upon the gravity of the crime. Now, just as a short this thing, it's a very long thing, long to describe what it means for us. That means for us as specialists, for us as doctors, what does it mean? What does POCSO say? What should we do? So let me just give you a summary of that. We do not need a police requisition for managing a case like this. It's a medical legal emergency. Any clinical establishment, either government or private, they cannot refuse to manage the victim of sexual assault. All the first aid medical expenses has to be provided free. The registered medical practitioners rendering medical care, what they have to do? They have to collect the evidence after the thorough medical examination. They have to treat the physical and genital injuries. They have to conduct age assessment if required, offer prophylaxis for STDs, that is sexually transmitted diseases like HIV, discuss the emergency contraceptives with the pubertal child and parents, give them knowledge. Do baseline evaluation for mental health issues, monthly follow-up at least for 6 months to look for the development of psychiatric disorders in the family or in the child. They have to do family counseling. They have to assist the court in interviewing the child and testifying in the court. So these are all our rules that are specified under POCSO, and they have to be done, otherwise we can also be punished. Now let us come to the significance of POCSO. So I have told you the main thing about POCSO, what it is meant for, what are the things. And now the main significance why we are discussing POCSO, not the other rules, is because focus has shifted from impersonal forensic evidence collection to comprehensive medical care for victim. So it is a victim-friendly act. If you remember, a sexual abuse patient earlier would not even come to the police because they would think they will be harassed by the police. They will be told to tell the story again and again, and the victim will be shunned or sent back, and all those problems were there. But POCSO has made the environment victim-friendly. There should be no delay or denial of examination or medical treatment of victim because POCSO has laid punishment for anybody who is hiding the fact of sexual abuse. Crucial evidences of sexual offense should not be lost, and that's why it is considered as medico-legal emergency. And victims can be saved from succumbing to his injuries. Therefore, as I said, it's a medico-legal emergency. So any of us, anytime, if we get a case of sexual abuse, or if we are doubting a case of sexual abuse in a child, when the child is brought by parents for vaccination or for anything, we need to consider it as urgent. Now let us solve Vibha's case. We have left it in the half because I wanted to give you the knowledge that once a case like Vibha's case comes to us, we had 3 options, but now with the knowledge, we have to make the right decision. And the right decision will now come under the guidelines of MOHFW or under POCSO Act 2012. So what I do now, so when the Vibha and the mother is there in my clinic, what I will say is, I will first report it to the Special Juvenile Police Unit or the local police, which is mandatory. Of course, we have a dial 1098 for assistance if there are any queries. Now, I understand that people have this, suddenly they will have this question in their mind. All of you who are sitting here, usually patient and the relatives, they do not agree to, for the police reporting. I agree with you. It is a big problem, but it is mandatory. So what we can do is, please note down whenever the patient enters your reception, note down their name, address, and phone number without first talking to the patient, so that even if they run away in the name, because we are telling the police, you have their identification. And that can be given to 1098 or to the your CWCs, their child welfare committees, and they will follow up the case. Then about medical legal ethics of informed consent and limits of confidentiality has to be done, which I will be discussing in details further, that we have to do counseling and consent taking very, very careful in this case. So remember, I want to just warn each and every member of our community, our doctors, our specialists, that non-reporting is a punishable offense under POCSO Act 2012. Not providing first aid medical treatment is a medical offense under Criminal Amendment Law 2013. And as I've already told, the punishment can be anything from 6 months to a year of imprisonment, and with or without fine. So this is a very important slide. We all should remember. Please do not try to avoid the case or send them without full investigation. Somebody is watching you. The government is watching you. Now, I have talked about a general picture of POCSO. I want to give you the bigger picture, that is hospitals, which are there, the corporate hospitals and big hospitals, government hospitals, which are there, and they have also been covered under POCSO, and it has been a proper standard operating procedures have been given for those hospitals. So those who are in hospital setup here, please, now it is your turn to learn. Now, hospitals have to follow the standard operating procedure, which I'm going to tell you now. They should have trained team of doctors to deal with the medical legal emergency. They should have specified area for conduction of examination and collection of forensic evidence. And they should keep something called safety kit and other investigatory tools 24/7 in their hospital. This is under Criminal Amendment Act 2013, POCSO Section 27, Rule 5. Now, who is authorized to do all these things? Any police or any SJPU or magistrate, they can authorize. Suppose a patient does not come to you directly, but the patient goes to the police first. That is the child sexual abuse. They might go to the police first. So they need to get the examination, everything done. So they can authorize an RMP in any government hospital. They can authorize an RMP in private hospital. And if nobody is available, then any RMP in any office practice or any clinic can also be authorized by them for doing this total investigation for the sexual abuse. Now, who can do the medical examination? Usually, only female doctors can examine the girl victim as per POCSO Act 2012, Section 27(2). But in special situations, when female doctor is not available, then with consent and in the presence of a female guardian, a male doctor can examine as per MOHFW 2014 guidelines. Now, this is the special operating procedure, which I have just mentioned. So when a patient comes to a clinic or a hospital, first and foremost is mandatory reporting. We have to take an informed consent from the victim and the relatives, then do first aid, take a proper detailed history, which I'm going to tell you how to take and how to do a proper examination. We all need to be trained in proper examination of sexual abuse. We have to do all the evidence collection, then evidence has to be sealed right, they have to be documented, and then treatment and discharge, they all go side by side. But there is an important thing which I want to tell you, that when you hand over the sample to SGPU, it has to be totally signed, and I will be telling you more details how to do a proper protective thing for yourself, because today it's a very medico-legally charged environment. So every step you take is very, very important. So this is a very important, in general, in a very short time, I will just tell you that after POCSO, police is a very helpful person to us. Why? Because if we report the sexual abuse to the police, if we just identify, then the police is responsible for the rest of the procedure. They will be helpful in referring the child to child welfare committees. And also, if suppose something happens to the victims, a victim dies in your hospital or victim has some complications, then they will protect us and they will tell us that it was informed to them and they will be there for you. Now, let me come to the details of how, when we see a POCSO sexual abuse child, how we are going to take the informed consent or refusal. Both are equally important. Now, informed consent, first of all, is required for medical examination, for treatment, but not for life-threatening conditions, for forensic examination and sample collection, and for police intimation. As I've already explained, that police intimation, when you take a consent, they may refuse, but it is mandatory. So you have to give the consent, but later the matters will be taken care of by the police or the CWC. Documentation of consent form, how it is to be done. This is very important. The patient is there. You have given the information, and then consent has to be signed by the survivor, that is the victim, a witness, and the examining doctor, all three. 2 identification marks and left thumb impression has to be there under the consent. Below 12 years, consent by parent or trustworthy guardian should be there. Now, how do we document the history? Now, this is a very important part of any sexual abuse case. Whenever there is a history taking in this sexual abuse cases, the date, the time and location of incidents, and also narration of the story, who is narrating, that is very important. Whether survivor herself or the victim is narrating the story, or the informant or the guardian is narrating, you please mention it very specific. Then, in survivor's own words, whatever the survivor says, whether the survivor abuses the criminal, how the criminal, the victim tells about the story, whether she calls uncle, you have to mention the words as told by the victim. Please note it. Please don't try to substitute your own words. Just mention what is said by the survivor or the victim. So this is one important thing. Anything that you are listening to, please note down that way only. Relevant medical and surgical history has to be asked. That is a very detailed thing. Menstrual history is very important. The length, duration, last menstrual period, whether the survivor was menstruating at the time of incidents, very important. Vaccination history, especially of tetanus and hepatitis B, has to be inquired because they are emergency vaccinations which we have to give. So even if we don't have the vaccination history, then we need to give that. Sexual violence history, it is, very important now here to make a point that, sometimes when we do counseling, we try to, get a little emotional. We just get a little bit of emotional and we start thinking in our own way. But I would request any doctor here, when you listen to the victim, please do not be judgmental. please be empathetic. We do not know what were the situations with the victim. This is very important. Please listen to them and record each and every negative word when the victim says, I'm not so sure. When the victim says, I know who was the criminal. Please, you have to write all those words properly without being judgmental. During examination, let me tell you what are the important things that you need to note. In general examinations, we have to mention victim's orientation, the mental state of the victim, consciousness, physical state, whether the clothes were torn or whether the clothes have been changed, when was the incident, and if it has been done and the patient has come after taking a bath and all that has to be mentioned. What is the clothing status of the child, whether it is original or changed, any other incidental observation which you make, the smallest of observation, whether there was a hair on the shoulder or you could see some torn marks, you could see some blood marks, dots, anything has to be noted by you as a keen observer. What is about special examination? So that was general examination. Special examination means we have to do specific area examination, all the private parts, all the scratches, bruises, injuries need to be recorded in details, and a thorough examination of genital organs, external and internal, if allowed, is to be done. Evidence collection, if examined within 96 hours of evidence, all clothing and swabs should be dried and preserved. All hospitals should have safe, as I mentioned, safe kit is nothing but sexual assault forensic evidence kit. I will mention it further in details. Now, this is I'm going to talk. So now I have come to the end of my presentation. I have made a point. What is POCSO Act? We have to be careful. It is a medical legal emergency and people really have to be careful. Please do not get emotional. In this case, when the family says that, please, we do not want to go to the police, please, 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 and you know them for 15 years, please do not get emotional. This is a matter of your own safety. You have to report this case and be safe. So now let me discuss this safe kit. Safe kit is sexual assault forensic evidence kit, which you can keep in your clinic also, and hospitals are bound to keep it. So it is a very comprehensive kit which has everything for the medical examination and for evidence collection. I'll just name a few things. There are forms of documentation. There are large sheets of paper to undress over, paper bags for clothing collection, catchment paper, sterile cotton swab, comb, nail cutters. You know, even the nail cutter is there. Imagine. So you have to take nail as evidence. That is also there. Wooden sticks for fingernail scraping, small scissors, urine sample collectors, tubes, vials, and syringes, distilled water, envelopes. Even the labels are there. Even the sealing wax is there in that, so that you can, you can seal the evidence. You know, you cannot trust anybody at this stage, not even the police. So you have to seal the evidence. Clean clothing is also there for changing of the patient, because you need to preserve the old clothing. Then other items like wood lamp, good torch, vaginal speculums are there to do a local examination. Patient gown is there. Post-it notes are there to collect the trace evidence. For example, small hair or small collections of some evidence is there. You can collect on the post-it. Then camera, microscope, colposcope, toluene blue dye to do some tests in that time. Urine pregnancy kit is there. Then medications are also available in that, which are required urgently. Then treatment to injuries and bruises, they are there. For the sexually transmitted infections, there are all the urgent drugs available in this kit. Emergency contraception, if we need for a adolescent, emergency contraception tablets are available in this kit. Then vaccination also, if is made provision here, that is tetanus. Then psychotherapy, and now that was about the safe kit. I just got a little carried away. So safe kit has a total, solution for you. Now, what is the treatment protocol? First aid treatment you have done. Yeah, that includes the injuries, bruises, etc., sexually transmitted infections. You have to treat immediately. Emergency contraceptions, if required. If a rape victim comes to you within 72 hours, you can do that. Then vaccinations, which are emergency vaccinations like tetanus and hepatitis B, have to be given. Then psychotherapy and counseling is very important. These patients, they usually belong to lower, socioeconomic strata. So it is very important that you give them the support that we are for you, we are supporting you, you are a victim, not a criminal. That is the first and foremost thing to be told to the victim. Now, in case of complication, you also need team of gynecologists, surgeons, pathologists, psychiatrists, and that's why that SOP has to be followed by any hospital. In case you are in a clinic, then definitely you can refer the patient to a place where all these team of doctors is available. Now, assessment for the next step, that is discharge and all, that is very, very important. Again, I don't want to just say that, okay, discharge and go. No, for investigation, for before discharge, you have to send the patient for investigations as appropriate. Age confirmation is a very important thing. Advanced medical and surgical care is to be told that if it is required. And during discharge, please checklist. This is the checklist during discharge. So you must assess the psychosocial well-being and you must counsel them. Assess the suicide ideation. This is very important, especially in our Indian setup. Mostly the victim feels that they are the criminals. The girls, they feel like that. So we have to think of suicide ideation here. Help the family to feel safe. Inform them that there is a child welfare committee. There is a support available for them. And POCSO is their victim-friendly act. So you have to guide them and tell them about it. Now, documentation and handover is another very important place where it has to be immediate if the police is available immediately. If the police is there, you have to seal all the evidences, properly take a signature. Handing over means you have to take a signature on the sealed envelope before handing over to the police. Please take designation, name of the police officer, and check the identification of the police officer. Please do not just hand over anybody coming in the uniform of police, because it is, you know how things are when there is a case of sexual abuse. Blood samples need to be refrigerated till handed over to the police. I want to tell you all that if you really want to read about handbook about the POCSO, then this is the handbook. You can just take a picture of this and go to this and read about it. Now, Manjusha, do I have a little more time? Then I can just talk a little bit about challenges. Otherwise, I am finished.
Madam, we are running a bit short of time, but
okay, fine. So I will. Yeah, no problem.
Join us in the panel discussion also.
Okay, fine. So I just want to thank everyone for listening to me for this POCSO Act. And please, just last word of attention to you, that any case of POCSO, please do not refer them just like that. You have to do first aid, you have to do proper evidence collection, you have to do examination properly, and then you can legally refer them if you do not have the team of specialists. Thank you so much once again. And of course, panel discussion is there for further knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, madam, for that enlightening talk. So it's always a pleasure hearing you. And this topic is one which you hear umpteen number of times till you have doubts. So that is quite evident from the number of questions which are there in the chat box. Of course, we would like you to stay with us and join us, and please add your input, whatever you want to say. Please add during the panel discussion also. And in between, before we go to the panel, let me request all the distinguished participants who have joined us today to please join the medical legal group. We have a very nominal amount as a membership fee. Madam, we had it as ₹1,000 till Jan 31st. Do we have an extension up to February and January, March mid, madam?
Yeah, we have it till March 31st. So I would request people to join. You can contact Dr. Ranjith or any of the prominent people there. It's a totally online process. You can just fill the Google form and you can just pay by bank transfer. It is all written in the Google. If you open the Google form, everything is mentioned there. All the bank details, everything is mentioned there. You don't have to do anything else. Just do a bank transfer, fill a Google form, and that's it.
Thank you so much, madam. Now we'll go on to the next session of the day. Now we have a panel discussion on the POCSO Act, and we'll be reinforcing whatever madam told us about POCSO Act through the various case scenarios that we are going to discuss. To chair and moderate this panel, we have none other than Dr. Balachandra sir. Sir, as we know, was the vibrant Secretary of IAP Kerala 2019-20 and is the Present Secretary of the ECHT 2021 and the FBS State Representative. And as we said, he's an active member of IAP, IME and KGMOA. Sir will be moderating this session for us today. Sir is working as a senior consultant at GH Pattani in the Government Health Services, and he has enough experience to talk on this topic. Our panelists for the day, we have our distinguished President of the National Medicolegal Group, Dr. V.K. Goyal, sir. Sir is the Director and HOD of Pediatrics at Panchsheel Hospitals, and he has held the post of the President of IAP and IMA and is actively involved in the medical legal issues involving pediatric age group. Then we have none other than the doyen of medical legal issues in pediatrics of Kerala and a great leader at the national level, George F. Mulail, sir. Sir is a patron of our Medical Legal Action Plan and a pillar of support and guidance. He's working as a senior consultant pediatrician at Kottayam. He has held the post of secretary and president and the election commission of IAP for many number of years, as you can see. And he was a member of the core group of the BFHI and faculty at various national and state pericoms. We also have, and we happily invite Dr. Danya G. Krishnan. Madam is a consultant in obstetrics and gynecology at the Women and Child Hospital, Thaikar. She's an avid academician and a speaker in various state conferences. Without much ado, I hand over to Balachandra sir to start with the panel discussion.
Can you see my slide? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
You can make it in the full screen, sir.
Okay. Respected state leaders, national leaders, branch leaders, and my friends in both IAP and KGMOA and doctors across the country. First of all, let me thank IAP Kerala, Vijayakumar sir, Johnny, and our National Medical Legal Group leaders, because V.K. Goyal sir and Ma'am Sonia Ma'am, our South Zone member Ranjith, for giving me an opportunity to present this panel discussion before you. There's a disclaimer that I am not a medical legal expert, unlike my panelists. Thank you, Manjusha, for introducing my panelists, Dr. V.K. Goyal, Dr. George Mole, and Dr. Danya. And also I thank Sonia ma'am for making our topic much easier with her elaborate presentation on POCSO Act. So this is what happening, as Vijayakumar sir, Pattani sir has told, that every day the cases are increasing. Let me start with three issues we as doctors are facing, whether it's a pediatrician or a general practitioner. 3-4 days back, at around 7:30 p.m. at in my house, a 13-year-old girl was brought by her mother with abdominal pain. It was a left-sided abdominal pain with no associated symptoms. So I thought first came to my mind was functional, but because of that odd time, without any appointment, they came. So God made me think to do ultrasound for that girl. And I wrote the ultrasound examination, and next day afternoon, the sonologist called me and told that she's seeing a destruction sac in that 13-year-old girl. I was just surprised, but I told them to do the
Sorry to interrupt. Can you please put it in full screen mode, sir?
screen. Okay. Now we can.
Yes,
stop,
yes,
can I?
thank you, sir.
Okay. So next day, the sonologist called me and told that using a Felicitations Act, and I told them to do the UPT and was strongly positive. And after the parents and the child came to my house again and again, asked, I was surprised to hear that the perpetrator was her own cousin, 1 year younger to her. It's a minor. He is also minor. The problem is that these patients known to me for a long time, and he was just threatening me that he will suicide. Already bypass was done on him. He will just suicide if he tell the police. So I was in a situation that but fortunately for me, the lab people informed the police station immediately, and that made my job easier. That is one problem when a case came like that, especially the patient is not going to us for a long time. Second issue is with the one of the servants, my friend's servant's daughter, 11-year-old girl. She was abused by a neighbor, a 60-year-old man, and this was happening in that area. 3 other girls were sexually abused, not even though it was penetrative. It was abused by that man, and they were not complaining. But the police forced her to complain, this girl, and the parents complained to that, and the cases were going on. And unlike what ma'am has said, that within 1 year the case has to be settled, but this is going on since the last 7 years, and the child is mentally very much upset, depressed, and this man's son is a gunda, and he's threatening that child. The other 3 girls have a happily living with no problem, but this girl is having a lot of problems. That is another issue. And the third issue, what I feel, my personal practice, is about the casualty medical officers in our general health service. They don't get even a minute to rest during the casualty. Most of our government hospital casualty is very busy, and in between, if a case of POCSO comes, how can a casualty MO write 10 pages report on this girl when they are not getting even 1 minute of rest? So this is a major issue with the casualty MOs, who maybe have many special. Maybe there may not be any specialist, may not be a pediatrician or a gynecologist or a psychiatrist. So this is very difficult for them. These are main issues I felt. With this introduction, let me tell you that 40% of the Indian population below the age of 18 years, and this accounts for about 20% of the world population. And 53% reported having faced some form of child sexual abuse, and 49 to point around 50% of children in schools, in streets, and in institutional care reported facing sexual abuse. Of these, over 57% were boys, and 72% said they have not reported the abuse to anyone. And surprisingly, only 3% has reported the child sexual abuse to the police, and 50% of the perpetrators are known to the child. But with the COVID situation, the last 2 years, the Childline Foundation has reported that 50% increase in the number of phone calls related to child sexual abuse, and the perpetrators known are increased from 50% to 93%. So that is the current Indian scenario. With this introduction, let me go to the panel discussion. This panel, most of the questions Sonia ma'am has discussed, so it will be very easy for us. We will go very fast so that we will finish in another half an hour. So, B.K. Goyal, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, first question is to Dr. B.K. Goyal. Sir, who is an adolescent and what is the cutoff age for POCSO?
Sir, adolescent is a person who is not a child and not an adult. That is safe from a 13 years to 17 years. But as per WHO definition, it is 10 to 19 years is a adolescent. And the cutoff age for POCSO is upper age is 18 years. 18 years we say is an adult. Below that, it can be a 1 year. Below 1 year, it can be any age. For POCSO, we have to report any sexual offense below the 18 years to the police.
Okay, sir. So the adolescent age is 11 to 19 years, and the POCSO, the upper age limit is 18 years. So that is fine. Thank you, sir. The next question is to George Mulay, sir. POCSO Act 2012. What are the 4 criteria involved in that? George, sir,
Okay.
please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I go into that answer, I just want to make one more clarification. Actually, even though it's a POCSO Act 2012, a vast number of amendments had taken place in 2019. And also it's known as now POCSO Act 2019 in bracket Amendment Act. Okay. And in the amendment, many of the punishments have been made very stringent. Actually, they had increased the punishment criteria. For example, in a case of aggravated penetrative sexual assault, actually the minimum punishment is 20 years. And then you can even have death penalty also. That is one major change which has occurred in aggravated penetrative sexual assault. So the change has taken place now. Now, this is an act which has been brought to protect a child. Child, he has already, Dr. Goyal has already said the definition of the age. To protect the child from an assault, whether it is penetrative or non-penetrative, from sexual harassment, and from use of pornography. Pornography is also, all these things you have to protect the child. And then it envisages special codes for trial, as Sonia has already said. And also it says about describe various methods or various rules to be followed. So how to proceed, all those things have been given in the act.
Okay, thank you, sir. So that's a major change what George sir has said, that in the amendment 2019, there are some changes in the punishment of these abuses. Thank you, sir. Next question again to George sir. Can you define sexual abuse, and also who are the common perpetrators and usual place of abuse? What is the usual place, and why kids are vulnerable? And what is the word meaning of grooming?
Child sexual abuse has been already defined now about the age group. Any type, whether it is an assault, whether it's a harassment or use of pornography, all this comes under child sexual abuse. Now, who are the usually, as Bala has already said, most of the times it is usually some relative or some neighbor or some person known to the victim. Actually, more than 50%, even more than that actually. And the usual place is at home or in a neighbor's place, or even in schools also it has taken place. One thing, and even children have been used for prostitution also. Why kids are vulnerable? Because of their tender age, one thing, and they are not experienced in life, because they don't know, they don't recognize, they may not recognize the brokenness of the world. They are too trusting, so they may not be able to recognize the bad intentions from another person. And then economic reasons. That is why the children are being sold for sexual, this prostitution, etc. And they are also physically vulnerable. That is one thing. And regarding grooming, what is grooming? Because this grooming is a different, it has got a different meaning actually. What they usually, the accused or the culprit, what they usually do is that they target a particular victim and they try to get access to that particular child. Then if whenever they always create some opportunity to be alone with the child, then they try to gain the trust of the child as well as the family. How does it take place? Usually in person, and we know that even in via internet, as well as it happens in institutions also. These are the way, you know, grooming has been done and how it is being, these offenses take place also. Okay.
Okay, sir. So thank you, sir. So I would like to add 2-3 points regarding the vulnerability of kids. These kids are socially and emotionally vulnerable. That is one thing. The second thing is the respect to adults. They might not even think of such behavior from the adults because they respect them. The third is the curiosity of the adults, curiosity of the children. And sometimes even attention-seeking behavior of these adolescents can land up in trouble, and even some older children. So thank you, sir. So next question is to Dr. V.K. Goyal. Sir, this is a case scenario. Can you hear? Can you hear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is a 9-year-old girl. Anjali came to my clinic with the pain abdomen since 3 to 4 months. She has been a regular patient since early childhood. And on examination, she is pale and sad. And there were bruises and lacerations in the lower abdomen, chest, but no frank bleeding. There are some cut and nail marks on the thighs. And she seems to be confused and depressed. What all we should think of in such a case?
Yes, sir. Definitely, as a general pediatrician, we can think of and ask the history of any injury. First, any injury anywhere, on the roadside or in the home or anywhere. If there no such type of injury, and you said there is patient is sad, we can definitely inquire more about any sexual abuse from the parents, from the mother. We can proceed in this way. After asking the history of injury, we can proceed with the history of any sexual abuse. And this is my point of thinking. And after that, we can examine the patient. So we can start in this way. Okay. Anybody else want to point out?
Dr. Danya, Dr. George, sir, anything to add?
Actually, I missed out that part. Okay.
So can I add something here?
Yes, Dr. Danya.
Yeah. No, I am Dr. Sonia here. I'm allowed?
Yes,
okay. Can I?
Okay. So as I have already pointed out in my presentation, that any girl, if we have some flag signs, like there are bruises on the private parts or bruises on thighs and all that, we have to have that alert in our mind that there may be something wrong. But yes, there can be possibility that she was sitting on the cycle, and because of that, she has fallen and there can be bruise marks. And we have to consider both the things. And so then we have to go for heads interviewing. That is for the special technique for the adolescents. And once we take that special technique of interviewing with the mother, parents, and with the child, we can come out with the history. We need a definite history that there has been some abuse, and then we can go further as per POCSO. That is what I wanted to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you elaborate the heads?
I'll just one more thing, suppose if at all that thought is entered in your mind that this could be a case of child sexual abuse, then as Sonia said, you have to go into the details. And whenever there is a suspicion, you better be on the safe side.
Yes, absolutely right.
Ma'am, can you elaborate heads? Just now you told about heads.
Yeah, heads is a technique which we use for adolescents. That is from 11 to 19-year-old, the adolescents. How we talk to them. See, head stands for home, for activities. It's a total, and so home, education, activity, then about their depression history and about driving safety and all that. So the particular, and then about the safety. So heads is a particular, it's a short form of multiple things. When we talk to the adolescent, we think about that and we talk to them as per that. That brings out a lot of details from them.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So another problem is such a case is that a child coming with bruise and laceration. Okay, so we'll go to the next question to Dr. Danya. The same case scenario. The history, and Dr. Danya, can you hear?
Yes, sir. I can hear.
So the same case scenario, the history and examination revealed that she's been sexually abused by a relative, and this fact was informed to the mother of the child, and she wants the matter to be kept as a secret and requests the doctor. So that's the same situation what I face. So what is your opinion on that?
Going into the before going into the answer, let me thank IAP Kottayam, IAP Kerala, and KGMOA for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and for also having a gynecologist in the panel. Because in Kerala, mostly it is a gynecologist business. POCSO is mainly a gynecologist business. So thank you, sir. So here, as we know, the madam had already elaborately said that whenever you suspect a sexual abuse, you should inform the police. You have to intimate the police. Mostly in our case, in our OPs, what happens is they'll come with a police request for examination. But if as here, the survivor is coming with the parent and you suspect a sexual abuse, then you have to intimate the police. And for that, you needn't seek or obtain a consent from the parent. Because if they are not willing, also you can impress upon them that it's your responsibility to intimate the police, and also explain to them that even if you're intimating the police, they'll take a statement and the further course of the case will depend upon their statement. If we are not intimating, we are liable to punishment under section 166B of IPC and section 21 of POCSO. So the law mandates that we have to intimate it to the police even if they consent or not.
Yeah, so can I just say one thing, Dr. Dhania, you're absolutely fine. You're absolutely correct. Whether they say yes or no, we have to inform to the police. But let us not call it that we don't have to take consent. We have to take a consent. So if it is not a consent, we have to write that it was an informed refusal. That is very important for documentation. That's all I wanted to say. So you have to take a signature for refusal also. If they have just disappeared, then there is nothing to be done. We have to just tell them.
Ma'am, I want to point out, for this purpose, for informing the sexual abuse, do we need a permission from the parents? This is a statutory requirement which the doctor has to fulfill. Why permission? Why permission?
No permission.
For information to the police. Why?
Sir, you are very right that as an emotional person, as a doctor, definitely I feel there is no permission required. But as per POCSO, as I have told here, that informed consent is required for all the things that do. It is a duty and it is legally required. That's all, sir. We may not know. I mean, as personal thing, you are absolutely right.
Is there any
actually, Dr. Goyal, to inform the police, you don't require a written consent or anything like that. Just tell them that you have to. It's a mandatory to inform the police. Either
that's all.
Juvenile police unit or the local police, whatever it is, because by law you are mandated. You have to inform them.
Yes.
That information you can give to them. That's all. But even if they refuse, also it doesn't matter. You have to inform, because otherwise. Yeah, because this duty is there in section 19 of POCSO Act.
Absolutely.
And if you don't inform them, you can be punished. You can be put in jail up to 6 months under section 21 of the Act. It's very clear about that. There is no question. And I know there are many doctors who are in jail now because of not reporting.
Yes, sir.
And even in Kerala also, there was a case, they have been asked to, warn. The doctor was warned by the court. Because ignorance of law is not an excuse for not doing the right thing.
Sir, we in a hospital, we get day and night medical legal cases at roadside injury in the fight in the house, and poisoning cases, a number of cases. And when we ask the patient, police to inform, we are informing the police immediately, or road in the accident in the factory. There are a number of things. As we say the police, party, they say no doctor, don't inform. We say this is our duty to inform the police. Either you get treatment at my place or you don't get treatment at my place. You run away, you walk away, I have to inform the police. This is my legal duty. Just we satisfy those people in this way. This is my legal duty to inform the police, not the consent.
It is
very clear for your communication skill. be in the
so
good
the
books
message
of
is
the
very clear.
relatives. You have to depend upon your communication skill also there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Dr. Sonia, ma'am, is there anywhere written in the act you have to take the consent from the
No.
patient for
No,
informing?
no.
Yes,
Consent,
sir.
consent,
In the
actually-
POCSO 2012, if you look at the POCSO 2012 Act, informed consent is required for informing the police. But sir, as you said, there are cases where if you tell the police ko batayenge, like you say that I am going to tell the police, they just run away. It's not your problem if they run away. That is why I said at the reception, you have their details, the phone number and address. And if they run away, it is not your problem. You have informed the police. You have made yourself safe. That is what is important. Even if they have not signed a paper in front of you or anything, it's okay, sir. It is informed refusal. You just have to write in your prescription that I have informed the patient and they have run away and I have informed the time and sign it. That's what is important for your safety, sir. That's all. It is not that, sir, there have been so many cases.
Actually, I agree with Dr. Goyal actually, because consent means you can't do without their permission.
Sir, consent doesn't mean written consent here, sir.
Yeah, definition of consent means when two people agree to the same thing in the same sense, that is what is known as consent. Okay. Now,
no, sir, here it is not like that. Here it is not like that. Here,
let me complete. Okay. Now, when you want to get a consent, means you can't do it without their consent. Two.
No.
Here, no. But let me complete. And here, you don't need to get their permission to inform the police. Only
yes,
thing is
sir,
that is
absolutely right.
That's all. And I got the 2019 Act also. My amendment is very clear. Section 19, everything has been. Section 19, even not doctors alone, even any other person who comes to know about such a thing has to inform the patient, police.
Absolutely. It's mandatory.
One thing more, just one. As you said, when they enter your hospital, get the phone number, name, and all the things.
Yeah.
This is an emergency. Patient lands directly in your emergency, bypassing your reception. There is no name, no phone number, no attending person, nothing with you. They land directly. All this type of cases. It may be injury, it may be poisoning, it may be quarrel in the home, it may be roadside accident, it may be accident in the factory. They land directly in your emergency, bypassing your reception. There is no way to record the phone numbers. What I do, I don't know what all are doing. Suppose after talking, when you see this type of patient in the emergency, and you start giving first aid or whatever, and you say, we are informing the police, they run away. We immediately inform the police. We note the time, this type of patient has come with this type of injury or this type of happening, and they run away without giving their name. Bus. That is registered at number 100 in police record. You suppose the patient is stable somewhere else, at least you have informed the police in this way. This is more important.
Absolutely correct.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So what Dr. Danya said is correct, that we should inform the police. We should not wait for the informed consent. The issue is that if the patient is known to us for years, we will be under pressure. If the patient is not that, it's easy to inform that. So the next question is to George, sir. What is the role of the hospital in emergency medical care?
First of all, I just want to highlight certain things, As far as emergency medical care is concerned, all hospitals are required to provide first aid free of cost. That is what is written in the Act. And we should not ask or demand for legal or magisterial requisition as a prerequisite for taking up the patient. That means you should not demand a request from the police or from the magistrate before taking up the patient. No, you have to do it. And in an emergency, if required, consent also may not be needed in an emergency, but not for routine examination. And the privacy of the child should be maintained. any examination, whatever it is, it should be done in the presence of parents or a guardian or someone whom the child has got confidence in. Then all the treatment for cuts, bruises, bleeding, and other injuries, including genitals, etc., should be attended to. You should have collection for forensic evidence, treatment for sexually transmitted diseases and prophylaxis for HIV in consultation with an ID specialist, infectious disease specialist. Then you have to think about the possibility of pregnancy, emergency contraception in case of a pubertal girl, not pre-pubertal. And then again, if consultation for mental or psychological health, if required, if you feel that you have to send the patient after that. At least these things should be done.
Okay, thank you, sir. So emergency medical care in a POCSO case also, we have to give it free. Is it like that?
Yeah, it is a must. That is in the Act actually.
Okay.
But let me add on one more thing, because many of the private hospitals may be bothered about spending money, etc., etc. But there is a provision. See, there is a provision. I don't know how much you can stretch that ruling to this particular type of cases, because there is a provision by the Supreme. There is a ruling in Supreme Court, that is Paschim Cape Mastur Samiti versus Government of West Bengal, where they say that the government is bound to meet such expenditure because they don't have the facility. They could not provide the facility for the patient. That is the reason. And in Kerala also, we could manage, not for POCSO case, but we could manage some amount. We could get some amount from the government based on this one, because fundamental rights, Article 21 says that right to life and freedom of movement, it has been defined as right to quality of life. So it is a bounden duty of the government to provide all these things. But I don't know whether it can be applied here unless and until someone goes for that.
Okay, sir. So other than informing the police, what medical practitioners are supposed to do with the POCSO case?
Definitely, as Sonia has already said that, examination, treatment, prophylaxis, all the recording, collection of forensic evidence, informing the police, all the things should be done in the proper way. And then last but not the least, you have to testify in the court when called for.
I didn't hear the last sentence, sir.
That is, you have to testify in the court when called for. That also comes for us.
Okay, thank you. So next question to Dr. Danya. Who can do the medical legal examination?
So according to the POCSO Act, a girl survivor less than 18 years can be examined by a female registered medical practitioner. So if there is a female registered medical practitioner and the child approaches her for something and you suspect sexual abuse, or if she is brought by the police, it is the duty of the lady registered medical practitioner to do the medical legal examination. If it is a boy in the POCSO, brought under the POCSO Act, that can be examined by any medical officer, casualty medical officer. But if the child specifies that he should be examined by a male registered medical practitioner, and if there is facilities for that, you should provide that. And according to the Kerala Medical Legal Code, if a girl child less than 18 years old is brought to you with a penetrative sexual assault, and the assault has occurred less than 96 hours, then a gynecologist, if available in the material time in the hospital, that gynecologist should examine. Otherwise, if the gynecologist is not available, it is the duty of the registered lady registered medical practitioner to examine and give a certificate.
Usually, gynecologists will be available on call at all delivery points. What is your situation at WNC Thekkad in your place?
No. According to Kerala Medical Legal Code, which was revised in 2019, it specifically says that a lady registered medical practitioner should examine. Also, it is the duty of the institutional head to make available registered lady medical practitioners for the examination of POCSO victims round the clock. So in WNC Thai card, if it's a penetrative sexual assault less than 96 that occurred less than 96 hours, definitely a gynecologist will be examining. Otherwise, if the lady medical practitioner is seeing, then they should examine.
Can I ask you one thing? How many of our government hospitals are having such a facility? What do you say? Actually, the Kerala government has brought this thing, agreed. But how many government hospitals? As Bala was telling earlier in his introduction that, your casualty medical officer is faced with this. So many patients are coming and no gynecologist available on call. So, I mean, rules are there, but is it being done in our health service setup?
No,
Your
so
hospital, yes, I do agree.
Now, so we are trying to implement as per the Kerala Medicolegal Code. We are trying to train the lady medical officers in POCSO Act, and they are made to examine the female sexual offense survivors.
So will they be available 24 hours?
It is the duty of the institutional heads to make them available. They should put
government or the medical superintendent?
Medical superintendents of the hospitals.
And the government is not posting doctors there? Because KGMOA is involved here. That's why I'm asking you.
In another case, if in the POCSO Act, it is definitely said that lady medical practitioners should examine. But if there is only male medical practitioners available, they can also examine.
That is in presence of a lady attendant.
Lady attendant. If you think that if you refer, it will be life-threatening to the patient, to the survivor, or valuable evidence will be lost, you can examine, provided the survivor should give a consent that it's okay for them to be examined by a male medical practitioner.
Okay, thank you. So it is very clear that according to the Kerala Medical Legal Code, the gynecologist, of course, gynecologist will be on call in all delivery points. So they are supposed to see this
No, I interrupt, sir. I should make it very clear, because it is the duty of lady medical practitioners to examine only in the case of sexual assaults, penetrative sexual assaults, that a gynecologist is required, and that too if the gynecologist is available in the material time in the hospital.
So if there is no danger to life, they can be referred. If there is no
No. For the simple reason of there being no gynecologist, you can't refer if there is a lady medical practitioner available in that hospital.
No, if it is a penetrative sexual assault.
Penetrative sexual assault.
It has to be there.
If you think that gynecologist is required, then you can refer. But then it is clearly said that in the absence of gynecologist, when she is not able to attend to the examination duty, the lady medical officer working in the institution and on duty at the material time should conduct the examination and shall not keep the survivor waiting.
Okay, the issue is not that it's the skill of this what all training is not that. It is a time. The casualty MO has no time to look for this POCSO case, look up this POCSO case for to fill the 10 pages report. How it is possible for the CMOs?
But the Act clearly specifies we have to go by the Act and Kerala Medical Legal Code. Usually, if even if the gynecologists are available, for example, in our hospitals we have round-the-clock gynecologists. We are also busy in the labor room, like the casualty MOs. But if a penetrative sexual assault comes, we should examine. Even if there is any emergency in the labor room, we have to examine. So we should find time. That's a medical legal responsibility. If we need other arrangements, we should approach the government and make sufficient provisions in the medical legal code as such.
No, you cannot compare a CMO and a gynecologist, because gynecologist, if you have a case, you will be free after at least 1 hour. But that is not the case with the CMO.
Sir, your voice is
we
breaking,
go to the next. Yes. Yes, Ranjith?
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
For examination, I will like to point out, as been said, by the male doctor, by the female doctor, it's all fine. But are all doctors, all female doctors are so much acquainted for the examination for these type of patient? Are they aware what type of sample to be taken? Are they aware how to sample to be preserved? Are in a routine, in a small setups, 50 bedded, 100 bedded hospital, they are 20 bedded setup or 30 bedded setup. When the patient arrives, the people are not fully aware how to examine the patient. What is the procedure of examination? How to collect the samples? Of course, they will report to the police. That's fine. But the examination part is, I think, beyond their skill. I think so. What do you say?
Totally, because they have to be given training actually.
Madam, sir, for how long you will give the training?
Yeah, I know.
How many people?
The number of
How many
doctors,
people?
yeah.
Sir, Dr. Goyal, sir, actually there is a group called iCancel group of IAP itself. They are holding workshops and other things for giving training for this examination, all the things. So like we are creating awareness about POCSO now. So same way, there are IAP groups which are giving training for examination and other things. And you are absolutely right that we don't have people who will, actually, I will also raise my hand, that, oh, I don't know how to do examination. So it is true. It is very true. The scenario is definitely of a very difficult situation. And we need training, and we need to keep training people as we are starting awareness with POCSO. Same thing we have to do that for that also. That is very true.
Okay, we'll go to the next question to Dodh sir about the consent for examination, whether it is needed and how to take the consent.
Okay, as far as consent is concerned, except in emergency, that I already said, emergency, you may have to proceed without consent. The consent should be informed. That means all the information should be given. It should be written. The patient should be willing to give it. And the significance or the implication of the consent also should be well understood by the victim. Actually, you should explain everything. For young children and infants, you have to get the consent of the parents. And there is resistance on the part of an older child, then try to relax the patient, convince the patient. And if they still refuse to give a consent for examination, then you have to defer. Because I'm talking about a situation where there is no emergency. Then you have to defer the examination to a later time. Forceful restraint only in the case of infants or young children. You may have to forcefully restrain. GA, if there is resistance in case of conditions requiring medical attention like bleeding, foreign body, etc. Because in an emergency, then you may have to use GA also. And if the resistance is due to some fear or fear of examination, etc., then you can give a conscious sedation, a mild sedation if there is involuntary resistance. But informed consent is a must for a routine examination of a victim.
Okay, sir. So informed consent is a must for routine examination in such a case. We'll go to the next question to Dr. Dhanya. How important is documentation and what all should be documented?
As Madam has already elaborately said, documentation is very, very important. And for a proper documentation, the institutions should provide all the provisions, like a proper area for examination. It's very, in an ideal situation, you should have a safe kit, which is sexual abuse forensic expert examination kit, where you will get all the documents for reporting the case. And otherwise, you should have the proper slides, everything for documentation. And when you document, you should document legibly, because it is your certificate that speaks for you in the court and for the victim. So proper documentation is important for convicting the and also for the justice to prevail, you have to properly document it, and please avoid abbreviations in the documentation. And when you give the certificate, you have to place a proper signature, the seal of the office, and also you have to properly write your name, and then the documentation should be in triplicate so that you can hand over a copy to the survivor and also the inquiring agency. And then when you are sending samples, you have to clearly specify in the certificate, and also you have to give a proper request to the concerned authorities for the documentation. And also what I have to say is, in most of the institutions, when we discussed, we said that the lady medical officers, many of them are ignorant of how to document a medico-legal POCSO case. It's because we are not very much familiar with the medico-legal code. So it's better to have a copy of Kerala Medical Legal Code and also the guidelines, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare guidelines for the examination of sexual abuse victim in every hospitals. So that will clearly help us to document. So the important requirements are the formats for reporting, the pays for examination, and all the safe kit and the important guidelines, which should be readily available in your hospitals.
How many pages has to be filled in that documentation? How many pages are there?
There are exactly, I don't remember, say 15, I think. 15. But here in the revised guideline, it is said that there are pages for diagrammatic representation as well. All these have to be filled in if there is any injury. If there is no necessity to fill in, you need to submit that papers also. It's a tedious procedure anyway.
Usually, how many hours will it take to fill, document everything?
1 to 2 hours, because most of the times they may not be consenting. We have to impress upon them the importance of examination, and even if they consent, they may not be easy with the examination and everything. It will take 1 to 2 hours anyway.
So it's impossible for the CMOs to spend 2 hours on the casualty for this case. Is it right?
Anyone, it's impossible. It's very difficult for anyone to do that, because if we have round the clock people for writing this alone, it will be possible. Otherwise, it will be very difficult.
So, what is a safe kit? Ma'am has elaborated on safe kit. Just we should want to say anything about safe kit.
As Madam has already said, safe kit is sexual abuse forensic examination kit. It contains everything from the documentation papers to the slides to the test tubes and everything. And usually, every institution should ideally have the safe kit, and it will have papers for collection of the clothes. And in addition to that, what I have to add is every institution should make provisions to provide for clothes for the victim. If she is coming within 96 hours of having a sexual assault and has not changed the clothes, we have to collect the clothes as well. For that, the institutions have to provide spare clothes as well. So the safe kit should contain the instruments for collecting all the evidences, which include slides, test tubes, documentation papers, the consent paper, and the other A4 size papers for collecting all the specimens, etc.
What is the cost of this safe kit? Any idea?
No, we have been provided this by the government, and now we'll get it in bits and earlier.
So I have an idea. I can tell you this ranges from around 1,500 or so. It's not very expensive. And somebody has asked in the chat box that where we can get it. I think there are specific NGOs and all which provide, at least in Bangalore, there is an NGO which provides these safety kits. And I think in Kerala also, there must be some people. I don't know exactly who provides, but it is not costly, and it is about 1,000 to 1,500, something like that.
And they may not be knowing the price because, it's being provided. I think it's being provided by the government. I think.
Yeah, yes, if it is in private hospitals. And so there's one question in the chat box whether for boys whether you have to use the safe kit.
Yes, we can use the same safe kit.
Safe.
Specimen
Same
collection,
safe kit, but
everything should
all
be there actually for boys also.
boys also. But you may not
Okay,
need all
next
the
question.
components of the safe kit.
Okay.
Some components.
So next question to Goyal sir, how will you treat this girl? This girl.
Before starting that treatment and before you come to the conclusion that the child is sexually assaulted, first of all, reassure the patient, reassure the parents that I am with you and I will try my best, nothing will happen. Then informing the police, then starting the proper treatment, examine the patient, take care of her body assaults and the sexual assault that has to be taken care of. And as said, the kit and all the examination to be done before starting the treatment, and psychologists to be involved in the treatment. Physical and psychological, both treatments are very important for this type of patient, physical and psychological.
What about for prevention?
Prevention is definitely there. In treatment part, the prevention is also there to look after the sexually transmitted diseases. And if there is no history of any vaccination, vaccination has to be given, TT and hepatitis B. And other for HIV, we have to take the samples if there is such type of injury regarding prevention of HIV also.
Okay, we'll go to the next scenario. George sir, we have to finish fast, so
Okay.
This 12-year-old girl presenting with loss of sleep, suspiciousness, increased fear and anger, short crying spells and school refusal for 4 days duration. She was apparently normal 4 days back when her mother noticed that she is very irritable with the disturbed sleep. She is afraid of boys and men. Also suspects classmates are laughing at her, talking bad things about her. She has a feeling that others are plotting against her. On prolonged history, she gave a history of sexual abuse by a relative. So how will you proceed in this case?
The history is very important, and her actually her change in nature has occurred 4 days back, because apparently she was normal 4 days back. That means this abuse might have taken during just the previous 4 days, within 4 days. So it could be less than 96 hours, and it may be going on also. Now, regarding all the examination part, has been already said. Informing the police should be done, examination should be done, and collection for forensic evidence because of the history also, because it did occur before that. So collection for that also should be there, and all the whatever has been said now till now has to be done.
Okay.
And also psychological evaluation, I already said earlier also, regarding psychological evaluation also should be done. What mental trauma has occurred to the patient.
Here the role of psychiatrist is more important.
Yeah.
So Dr. Danya, what are the various stress disorders in children related to sexual abuse?
They can have, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible.
There can be a great lot of behavioral effects, like they can have distrust of others and themselves, they can have terror and anxiety, they can have depression, they can have shame, guilt and self-hatred, isolation and withdrawal from people and activities, and anger, obsession with sex or complete aversion to it, questioning their sexuality, and drug and alcoholism, abuse, addiction, etc. All these, anything can, a whole lot of psychological effects can occur in the child because of a sexual abuse. So when you are approaching a child with sexual abuse, we should be very empathetic and never be judgmental, because most of the times we'll be coming from a busy OP or busy labor room, and we'll be in a hurry to finish off the case. But being empathetic is very, very important. to get a proper history and for proper documentation now. And if you need a psychological help, you should inform the psychologists available. And then for further follow-up, you can send the child to a psychiatrist as well.
They might need a psychiatrist actually.
Psychiatrist.
Yeah. Thank you, Danya. Next to Dr. Goyal, sir. What are the immediate and long-term consequences of sexual abuse?
Immediate and long-term both are the physical injury and psychological. Psychological is the most part in this type of traumas, and we have to take care of this thing. For the long counseling sessions are very important with the trained psychologist.
Okay. So long term, you can expect post-traumatic depression, anxiety, so unhealthy behaviors, difficulty setting safe limits, and like that. And immediate consequences: anger, anxiety, fear, phobias, and nightmares, and low self-esteem. We'll come to the last case scenario to Goyal, sir. This 13-year-old girl with guilt, feeling sad, crying spells, suicidal ideas. She had attained menarche recently, and she gave a history of abuse at the age of 11 years by her neighbor. So, in this case, what is the diagnosis and what we can do? It happened 2 years back.
Even, sir, even in this sexual abuses are sometimes in continuation, and people report after a very long time, and they feel shy. Family feels shy. Family also knows the things, and the diagnosis is a sexual assault here. And the important thing is inform the police, and there is no, as such, there is a physical injury written over here in the case history. The psychological counseling and is very important for this child. And the important thing is the person who is doing should be properly punished, so that he should not come into the picture again and again and again. Because this type of people are very much they develop so much courage, and because they are not been reported to the police, they develop so much courage, and they do it. They keep on doing it regularly with different type of babies and children, and in some in the psychological homes, and number of places are there. Recently, I come to know about one incident about a month back. The child of 16-year girl was admitted in the psychological home because the baby was so much abusive in the family, and there the gatekeeper was abusing the child. And this was informed to me by some auntie. They said they are not reporting it. The things are going since very long, and they are not reporting it because people feel very much shy, and they think if they inform the police, the child has to go again to that scenario, to that center. What will they do again? This type of things are there. The important thing is inform the police and keep the child with the proper psychologist for the psychological training.
Thank you, sir. So it is very clear that even if it happened 2 years back, that child might have come for some other complaints. But if you get a history of abuse by anybody, so that has to be informed to the police. Next, to Dr. Danya, how to prevent child sexual abuse? What all advices you can give to the parents and kids?
The first thing is, usually in most of the cases, the perpetrators are non-people. So what we can do is we should make our home atmospheres in so much conducive that the children should be able to come and tell us if they have been abused. For a 3-year-old child, we can explain to them what is a good touch, bad touch. And most important is we should be good listeners. Whatever they are, they may not come in a proper way out telling that they have been abused. They'll be giving us hints. We should be able to pick it up. And for a 5-year-old, we can explain to them the private parts. And if anyone is touching in an inappropriate manner, they should come and report to you. For adolescents, what happens is sex education is still a taboo, and we are not including it in a routine curriculum. So most of the children don't know what is sexual intercourse, how they become pregnant, and what are the signs of pregnancy. And I had many cases where they had reported to us late in pregnancy, 16-year-olds, 14-year-olds. So we should explain to them what is the basics, how is sexual intercourse, what is pregnancy, what are the signs of pregnancy, about STIs. And by adolescent, they should be knowing everything, and they should be explained about the contraceptive measures, and what is sexual assault and what is abuse, and the laws. Everything should be explained to the boys as well as the girls, and that will in a long way prevent sexual abuses.
Okay, thank you. So we'll come to the last question. What are the challenges of the POCSO Act? Dr. Goyal, sir. Sonia ma'am can also chip in. Goyal, sir.
Yes, sir. Sonia ma'am can tell me better. Can tell. Better, Sonia, please.
Okay, so I have some slides on this, and they are very beautiful slides. So that's why I was asking extra time. If you have 2 minutes, I can show those slides now.
Okay.
They are about the challenges of POCSO.
Then we will come to the rapid fire questions. We'll just half a minute for each answer. For
Okay.
each, we'll finish in 10 minutes, and then you can give that controversies.
All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
So to George, sir. So just be brief. Don't take more than half a minute. If a minor boy sexually abuses a minor girl, will the boy get punishment?
Definitely. Inform the police, and whatever the way of punishment is, the police is definitely take to the juvenile home or whatever it is.
Actually, up to the age of 16, it will be decided by the Juvenile Justice Board. And between 16 and 18, they can refer the patient to other court also. They can refer the accused to the other cases to be taken in another thing. But they have to go into all the investigations after that. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know. Mine is over. I thought mine, this one has got stuck. That's why I said,
connectivity problems. Bala sir, can you hear us?
What happened to Bala?
Sir has got some connectivity problems, probably, sir.
Oh, he had the problem. I thought it was with me because no sound coming. That's why I said hello, hello.
I think Dr. Bala's internet is disconnected. I think one of the panelists can ask the question.
Yes.
Sir, can you please take over?
I think if you can see the slides, even Manjusha can ask.
So the slides, I think Bala sir has, maybe he'll be joining. I'll just contact him. Sonia madam, can we have your
okay. Okay, I'll share my screen and I will go for that challenges now. Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah. So there are a lot of challenges as we were discussing. This is a very important thing, because I know here all the audience who are there right now, they have these questions. You are able to hear me, right?
Yes, madam. We can hear.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of audience here will have this question in their mind that oh, the patient comes, runs away, what to do and all. So there are a lot of challenges, even on consent. If the child refuses to undergo medical examination, the family member or the investigation officer is insisting for medical examination and all. So all these are challenges of POCSO. And as Dr. Mulail sir has already told, that there have been some amendments also in 2019. So we will have to take another CME for that. So I'm just going to talk about the challenges, like in consent, that challenge what we already discussed. It was a good discussion. And then in medical examination, the POCSO Act section 27(2) mandates that in case of a female child or adolescent victim, the medical examination should be done by a female doctor. However, the law mandates the available medical officer to provide emergency medical care. So there is a lot of controversy in medical examination. Then there is a question in the chat box that if a boy comes and can he be examined by a female doctor? Again, we always have this concept of chaperone. So if there is a female doctor, then a male chaperone has to be present while doing the medical examination. These are some of the challenges. And then there are a lot of situations where there is no male doctor to examine the male patient. So all these challenges have to be answered by POCSO, and amendments are being done gradually. 2019 also we had some amendments. Then treatment cost. Now, as I said, that first aid treatment has to be totally free by the hospital. But the question is, if it's a very severe patient with lacerations, with a lot of problems, the treatment becomes very costly, whether for the clinic or for the hospital, it becomes very costly. Then there are questions by the doctors, how can we afford to give such kind of treatment free of cost to the patient? Yes, first it can be given and it has to be given free, I understand, but there are so many other things which have to be done immediately, and they cannot be given free of cost. So now in 2019 amendments, there have been some amendments where they say that yes, government will reimburse those costs. But again, there is a gray area. So again, this is a challenge. Then there is a lot of, there was just one question just now, which Dr. Bala was asking, consented sexual intimacy. So if there is a sexual contact between two adolescents, which is very happening in our schools now, the sexual contact is happening between adolescents and a lot of teenage pregnancies are coming up. So now in that case, even if, as I said in my definition earlier, the sexual contact or any sexual intercourse, whether consensual or non-consensual, below the age of 18 years, whether the female has consented or not does not matter. It is a sexual offense. That is very important for we all to understand. There is no controversy about it. Both the girl and the boy are liable to be punished, whether it is consensual sex or non-consensual. And that's why today, guiding our youngsters, the adolescents, about the sexual advances or sexual contact is very important. We have to make them also aware about such things. They are not aware of POCSO. They also need to be aware about such things. Then child marriage is a very big thing. That is a very big challenge for us. Child marriage and consummation of child marriage are considered illegal under POCSO Act, obviously. Whether it is consensual sex by husband and wife below the age of 18 years, it is illegal under POCSO Act. But in India, even though the child marriage is prohibited under the secular law, it enjoys a sanction under certain personal laws, thus complicating the matters. This is a very big issue right now in Parliament, and it is happening, and a lot of amendments will still keep coming. Then training, as we have already, Dr. Goyal asked pertinently and very rightly, that training of for medical examination of all doctors is very essential. Awareness is very important. Medical training for how to examine a sexual abuse patient is very important. It is happening, but it is very slow. Role of mental health professionals, the definitive signs of genital trauma are seldom seen in cases of child sexual abuse. We all know that sexual abuse is rampant within the relatives. The family, in the family's relatives themselves are doing the sexual abuse. Almost 90% cases are like that. So in that case, there are no physical signs actually, but the mental health is very much, the problem. So this is again a crucial area where POCSO has to deal with, and POCSO has not taken any stand on that. Then reporting. It is well known that the cases of child sexual abuse are usually not reported. Furthermore, knowing and reporting child sexual abuse offense is highly difficult and highly personal decision for many family members and also for survivors. Now here I will mention one thing, reporting. I did not mention in my introduction, but I have to mention here, not only for it is mandatory to report this child, any child sexual abuse, not only for the doctors, but if there is a common person or common man or a neighbor or any person who comes to know about child sexual abuse in any child, they are bound to report to the police, and they are also liable for punishment. That means if you are abetting to any child sexual abuse, the punishment will be equal to doing the sexual abuse yourself. That is written in POCSO very clearly. So these are some of the challenges which I just wanted to discuss. There are many more challenges which I can see in the questions in the chat box. So I hope I have answered some of the questions in the chat boxes. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance again.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll come to the last rapid fire questions. The first question I asked to George Mullen, sir. So the minor boy can also be abused, cannot be punished if he abuses a minor girl. So what I'm asking is whether the girl can also be punished.
Sir, can you
in such a situation, let me tell you one thing regarding the girl. The only condition where she can be punished, a girl, is that the boy is younger than her, and it can be treated as a sexual abuse of the boy if the girl is older. So that way the girl can be punished. Now, the number 2 question which you had shown, if it is not how forceful, will the girl be punished? You're talking about the particular case, or generally, because a minor girl agreeing to a consensual sexual act with an older person. In such a situation, the girl won't be, If both of them are minors, it all depends on the age factor also. Because if it is a younger boy, she can be an accused also. Because sexual abuse takes place for both boys and girls.
Okay. So what is the punishment for false complaint, George, sir?
False complaint means, you can be punished up to 6 months or fine or with both. And one more thing is that if the person who is making a false complaint is a girl, minor girl, she cannot be punished. That is also written in the Act actually. Otherwise, we have seen recently in Kerala also, we had a case, the father is encouraging the son to file a case against the mother. And I think it turned out to be a false, this one. So there also the punishment up to 6 months.
So shall I ask Goyal, sir? Sir, if a victim is brought to the OPD with symptoms and giving history of abuse a few years back, should we inform the police?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. It has to be informed to the police.
Yeah.
Okay. That was repeated anyway. How is media restricted from giving reports? Is there any restriction for the media?
Definitely. It is a restriction to the media. The no name should be published of the victim or this type of story should not be published. There is definitely a clear guidelines in the POCSO Act. The media should not highlight this type of things.
Okay. Is there any time limit?
One more thing. Unfortunately, what is happening is that they don't publish the name of the girl. They may show the girl with face covers without any identification, etc., etc. But then when they show the father of the girl, who may be the accused, so it is so obvious that who is going to be the victim, who is the victim. That is happening now.
Okay. So next question to Goyal, sir. Is there any time limit to report by the medical practitioner? And can we inform the local police by post or email instead of going to the station? Can we inform by post or email?
It has to be informed whenever you come encounter such type of patient. It has to be informed at the earliest. Don't delay it. Not only the POCSO victim, any medical legal type of problem, whenever you encounter, inform the police at the earliest.
Can we inform by post or email? Should we go to the police station?
I think information by dialing number 100 is the most appropriate thing everywhere, because that call is being recorded always, and the person attending the call gives his name and number, and note down that name and number in your records and time when you have informed 100 number.
Okay. Anyway, I have sent by post only, registered post only. Tomorrow I will go to the station and inform about that case.
Buddhist people, sir, if you go to
Well,
the
actually, I think
Can mail.
Bala's case is a bit different actually, because Bala was telling about probably he must be telling about the 13-year-old girl who got pregnant, no? I think he was advised by the DYSP to send it by registered post, isn't it? Something like that. But of course, see, that is because there is no emergency there. Probably because you may have said that there is no emergency because you're not going to collect any specimen or anything like that. So he wanted to make it in a foolproof way. But ideally, what Dr. Goyal said is actually correct, because that is the best way of informing. But because you are advised by, yeah.
Dhanya, you want to tell anything?
You can intimate either by giving it, you can mail it, post it, any which way you can do it. But the best thing is intimate at the earliest. For that, you can phone them.
Okay. Last question to Dhanya. If a girl or boy is brought with suspected symptoms but no history of abuse, what should be done? We are suspecting, symptoms are suspicion, but no abuse history.
Then we should have a high index of suspicion if the wound and injuries are suggestive of sexual abuse, and you should take enough time to counsel them. And as Madam had already told, we have to carefully take a proper history, and if they come up with a sexual abuse, then only we can report. Otherwise, we will have to follow up.
We get children with pain over the genitalia like that without any. Yes, George, sir.
I just want to add one thing, because better be safe than regret later on. Because I have seen many of our colleagues landing into problem, because there is a demand, or there is a they have been called to the court to come with a case sheet. Because so if at all there is any suspicion, you better intimate the proper authorities. That is a must. So it is their duty to see whether it is a genuine or not. You have your suspicion, because many times after 1 or 2 years, a case has been filed and the doctor was asked to come and give evidence.
So I would like to add a little word here. It is not essential to directly, in such cases where you are doubtful and the index of suspicion is not very high, then there are something called child welfare committees. So instead of going to the police directly, you can refer this child and you can talk to the child welfare committees and ask them to go further deeper into this case. They will do the needful and they will help you. And if the police and all is required, they will do further things on that. Every state has child welfare committees.
So I have to add something.
Every district
I have to add something. We in Kerala have Bhumiga, where we have counselors. If we have any suspicion and we have no enough time to counsel them, we can send to them, and they'll if there is any such history, they'll properly take a history, and if there is any sexual abuse, they'll bring back the child to us. So we have Bhumiga here. We have sent like that. We have sent like that.
Okay. Dhanya, what is the aggravated offense?
Aggravated offense, sir will be able to tell.
George,
aggravated offenses.
Okay. Aggravated offenses, all these offenses, done by
in 2 lines.
Yeah, you're asking me,
In 2 lines. Fast.
Okay. Aggravated offense is something which has been done by a person who is in authority, who is bound to protect the victim, and committing the same thing, and the punishment is on a higher quantum actually for this, and especially, and then if it is a penetrative sexual act resulting in a pregnancy, again it will amount to that, transmitting many other illnesses, all those things, relatives, somebody at home, all even schools,
police,
all this comes under. Actually, there are about 22 sections actually, the subsections 22. So committed by them carries a more stringent punishment.
It's a more severe crime.
Okay, last question to Dr. Dhanya. Is it mandatory to go to government hospital for sexual abuse, sexual assault examination in private hospital?
No. any registered medical practitioner has the medical legal responsibility to give a proper medical legal exam, to do a proper medical legal examination and also give a certificate.
And it has to be done free.
Can I add one more thing in there? Actually, the Act says that it should be done at a government hospital or a self-government, like, municipal corporation, etc., hospitals. And if it is not available, then any RMP can do the thing. That is the Act which says. Actually, Dania must be trying to reduce the number of cases coming there, isn't it?
No, sir.
That is the Act, actually.
Anyway, we are not going to get lesser number of cases. Every day we are getting a box.
You are seeing in the TV, media, paper and all, every day something is happening.
Every day we get a POCSO case. In every duty we are getting. If not
So
one.
don't say that it is less.
So we have come to the end of the panel discussion. So I thank on the behalf of IAP Kerala, IAP Kottayam, KGMOA Kottayam, and the National Medical Legal Group for the panelists, V.K. Goyal sir, Sonia ma'am, George Mulay sir, and Dr. Danya for their excellent presentation, for their advices, and for their expert opinions. And I hand over to Dr. Manjusha.
Thank you, sir. That was an excellent session. And the strength at 10:20 is 90. It was 100. Just fallen down to 90 as the panel ended.
And actually, I wanted to close it before the strength comes down to 100.
Yeah. We have to get the 155, one of the maximum in the webinars nowadays, because everyone has gone back to their normal lives. So attending webinars has been a problem, but I think we should do justice to the participants, because there are a few practical queries in the chat box. Most of them have been answered by in the talks and in the panel, but a few very directed questions are there. If there is permission from the panelists and the distinguished speakers, can we test a few questions, maybe a rapid fire again for 5 minutes or so? So one question.
Yeah, you can take Dr. Joseph. He's raising his hand. He's raising his hand.
Sir,
so take.
Sir, please.
I think you unmute yourself also.
Joseph, sir.
Actually, I'm getting
He's on
cramps.
mute. Dr. Joseph, you are on mute.
Unmute here. You're on. Yeah.
Okay.
Unmute, sir.
See, one patient, one girl has come to us, and so they say you should not inform to the police, and I am informing to the police. Who will protect you? You will protect you, or the society will protect you? Of course, you can legally say it is our duty to inform. I have my wife, I have my children. Who will protect me? Or
Actually, you are not audible that much.
Yeah, you heard what I said.
That is the first issue I told in the beginning. What Sir has told.
So
sometimes we'll be under pressure.
Are we safe to inform? Now in the Indian situation, nobody is safe, first of all. And if you are provocating the bystanders, or they will actually, you will not leave further. Am I correct?
If you inform, the patient will punish us. If you don't inform, the police will punish us.
Punish us. Goyal or anybody can answer the question again. It's not a joke.
See, here we are trying to impart knowledge on the law about POCSO. But now you are talking about the practical aspect.
Yeah, that's the most important
but
part.
The thing, that is what I'm saying. Here now we have to follow what is written in the law.
Sir, I agree with you, Dr. Joseph, sir. It is a very good question you have asked, because everybody has faced this. In fact, I have had cases in my clinic where the father will stand with the, like this, if you do this, I will do, like that, violence. I definitely agree with you. This happens with all of us. But sir, we have to develop our own systems. Otherwise, the legal system is bound to punish you. Then what is the solution for us? We have to find our solutions. That's all I would like to say.
I will give you one practical advice. The best thing is, first inform the police, ask for police protection, and then you tell the parents.
So there is no time. By that time, they will run away. There is no time.
No, don't tell them the fact that it is an abuse case.
Okay.
You inform the police first and then tell the parents.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Take the questions.
Yes, sir. So there's a scenario which has been given. A girl was brought, a missing case, a man missing case, and the girl was brought for examination. Medical examination was done when she revealed an assault in her childhood. And for the same case, she was taken to another practitioner where a second medical examination was done. Is that really necessary, or could the first document be produced because it's just a medical examination? It's the same document, or are there different documents for a man missing case and a case where an assault has been documented? That is a question by Dr. Jasmine.
Actually,
I think what, yeah, sir,
the section 19 says, whenever you come to know about an offense under POCSO, whoever knows about it, whether it's a doctor or a public, he should inform the police, SJPU or police. So you can't say that you have referred the patient elsewhere or another doctor has seen and you are going to wait for the other doctor to report.
So,
I did not understand the question, Dr. Manjusha.
The exam, she was brought to a doctor where the medical examination was done, where she revealed that there was an assault. The police took her to a second doctor for this assault, for the documentation of this assault, and a second examination was done, adding more trauma to the survivor.
No, this is not allowed. This is not allowed.
Okay.
This is traumatizing the victim,
So
and the victim can be directed. The victim can file a complaint against the police. Actually, you know, the police people also, they have no idea about their own this POCSO thing, and they are not aware. So that is the problem nowadays. So I think this victim needs to know that she has her rights. This is not necessary at all.
Thank you, madam.
And I think the DYSP also gave Balay a wrong advice.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So another tricky question. An 18-year-old married girl comes to you telling that she is 5 months pregnant. Do you report the case?
Let me tell you one thing. So you calculate backwards. Ask for the date of birth.
Yes.
No. See, then you will know when the act has taken place.
Actually, I've done that.
And if it
Actually, we have done that in many instances.
See, that is what that's very important. That happened in that Calcutta Wayanad case. They had written the case sheet that the age of the mother who delivered was 18. So that means she might have got pregnant while she was 17.
Yes.
So then it will come under POCSO Act.
Yes. So even one day before completing 18 years of age, if she had a sexual act, one day before, she will be under POCSO, and the husband.
We get many cases like that. Most of the 18s will be a POCSO case.
Yes.
18-year-old pregnant lady.
Thank you, panelists. Now, the next question, if there is no history suggestive of penetrative sexual act, is it still pertinent to have local examination of the genitalia by a gynecologist or a trained person, even if there is no history of any penetrative sexual act?
See, history may not be reliable because you have to rule out a penetrative thing. So you have to do an examination. Because the victim, the girl may not tell you that she had actually a penetrative sex. So then you have to examine, but later on it may turn out to be like that.
Dr. Dhanya, you please tell what you are following.
Sir, in the POCSO Act, it is...
I think Dane wants to say something.
Yes. In children less than 12 years, even if they are not suggesting a penetrative sexual, if they are not saying a penetrative sexual assault, you have to examine the local areas and the whole body. But about 12 years, if they are giving a proper history, then you have to examine the relevant parts only. Otherwise, also it's an abuse. Subjecting them to examination of other parts.
Yeah, because then you have to get an informed consent. That's a more.
Yes.
No, but internal examination to be performed, whether it is less than 12 years or whether it is more than 12 years, you have to be very careful. I mean to say per vaginal examination. It cannot be done just because you want to see whether it was penetrated or non-penetrative. You have to have an informed consent. You have to see the rule book and then only go for the per vaginal examination. I think Dhanya knows about that. So we cannot just be saying that, yes, we want to know. No, it is informed consent. Proper consent has to be taken.
Madam, thank you, madam.
To be safe, get a signature after the history. They'll narrate the history and we have to properly document who has given the history, whether the survivor herself or someone else. And then better get a signature down the history after taking the history.
Okay, ma'am.
Usually we take that.
Thank you. There is a comment in the chat box, but still I would like to convert it to a question. Is there a role of a forensic surgeon or a forensic expert while documentation of POCSO or medical examination of the child? Because we were talking about CMOs and the gynecologist being there on the scene. But forensic surgeon is another person who is actually trained to do all this. So is there a role for a forensic surgeon here?
They are, can I?
Yes,
yeah,
sure,
yeah, please.
Any of the panelists.
They are the experts, but since their number is less and if we wait for them, all the evidence will be lost. So in such cases, it's better that the current medical legal code says that it's okay that a female medical practitioner is enough for examination. So that is enough. Proper training has to be given to them. That's that. And all these examinations we study in our MBBS classes, not in our gynec classes or in the forensic. So anyone can, any registered medical practitioner is capable of doing a medical legal examination. So every time the expert needn't be there. As a registered medical practitioner, it is a medical legal duty to examine any case, any medical legal case, who approaches you, whether it's a POCSO or not POCSO.
Then, madam, one more question to you. Is there a need for a consent to do a UPT if you suspect that the minor is pregnant?
We are actually taking an informed consent initially, and we are explaining everything. So for a UPT, you needn't get a different another additional consent. We usually, if the person in the history suggests that they have missed periods or you suspect that she is pregnant, it's better to do a UPT. The examination involves everything, all those. And that's actually a prophylactic treatment as well.
Thank you, madam. Molel sir, George sir, if the child presents to you in your private clinic or at home, what do you do? What does the practitioner do? So all this while we were talking about a hospital setting, suppose they come to your home and give you this history. What are you supposed to do?
Of course, definitely we have, see, if you don't have the facility for examination, you can't do the examination. But since you have got the history, you have to intimate. That is there. You have to give information.
And so do we refer the patient the stats?
Yeah,
or,
definitely you have to refer whether there is a facility for examination.
No, no, sir. I'm sorry, I differ here, sir. So if that patient comes to you at home, at home, where you do not have the facilities to examine the patient, then still you'll have to take this patient to the clinic because it's an emergency.
I don't have a clinic. I'm talking about myself. I'm not practicing.
Okay,
now.
so that's a different case. That's a different case. But here, in general, you have to take the patient immediately to the hospital or to the clinic and do the needful, as I've already explained. But if the patient comes to a clinic, whether it's a small clinic or the smallest of the clinics, you have to do full first aid and whatever possible in your clinic, you have to do. Once the patient is stabilized, police is informed, then you can refer to the specialist.
That I have already said about emergency treatment. In my question about the emergency treatment, I had highlighted all those points. One day.
We have, thank
you.
Because
she said, if you come to my clinic, so I answered that.
Manjusha, before conclusion,
there is one very really interesting question in the chat box which I want to answer actually.
Yes, sir. That is the last question now, sir.
Manjusha, before conclusion, let me congratulate our state president to bring such a good topic. I think one of the best talks he recently had. And I congratulate the panelists and again Goyal and Balajendranath putting such a smart questions. I have never seen such a situation for the. I am in this field for the last 41 years. But such a good talk. I appreciate really the KGM also and Manjusha's clear welcoming speech. Everything is so good. I congratulate once again Vijayakumar. Please repeat such talk. Everybody will be interested. And it was about 155 people are there in the initial part of the talk. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now come to Priya.
Thank you so much, sir, for hosting us today. So before we close, the question as a what to tell the next part to the earlier question, a 36-year-old third gravida presented with the first childbirth, maybe not at 20 years, maybe at 18 years, first childbirth.
No. Actually, he has written the eldest child is 20 years. That means
eldest child is 20 years.
Yeah, she has delivered at the age of 16. Whether it will come under POCSO, actually.
Now, there was no
POCSO Act doesn't have any retrospective effect. It came into effect only in 2012. So that means only 10 years. So at that time, there was no POCSO Act. It won't come under that. But it may come under Prevention of Child Marriage Act. At that time, the marriage act is for a woman, it was 18. So it will come under that actually.
It's a very interesting question.
At that point of time.
Very interesting question. Somebody has thought about it because this is very.
No, I just saw the question now. So I said I will answer that.
Sir, are we actually bound to report that because they might be having a very peaceful happy life?
Yes, only put another opinion also. Okay, sir.
No, this doesn't come. It doesn't.
So the very last question, it's about HIV testing. If the status of the accused is not known, how do we go about HIV testing and the prophylaxis of the survivor? Sonia, madam, can you enlighten us upon that?
So, yes, HIV testing has to be done if it is a penetrative sexual act or something like that. So, we have to decide according to the individual case. So, HIV testing is definitely essential, but there is no prevention as such of HIV, right? I don't think, if I'm not aware, I don't.
No, you can give antiretroviral medications. Actually, before. Sometimes you may not have got hold of the accused to verify whether he is HIV positive or not. Anyhow, you have to start a prophylactic thing. That is what I feel.
So, no, I feel that HIV testing is essential. So, once the test comes, then definitely you can.
The testing of the child, it may become positive later on. Now, I'm talking about the accused. You may not have got hold of the accused also. So, you don't know the status of the accused. So, always to give a prophylaxis.
Thank you so much, sir. With that, we come to the end of a grand session. One of the best sessions of medical legal CMEs that we have had. Very proud to be a part of this team and very happy to have hosted the doyens of medical legal group, Goyal sir, Sonia Kanitkar madam, George F. Mulail sir, Balachandra sir, Dhanya madam, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and being here today with us this late. And our seniors, Parishothaman sir, Dali madam, Pattani sir, many seniors, our teachers are here, all our colleagues, our seniors from KGMOA was there, the obstetric fraternity was there. Thank you so much for joining us. For the closing remarks, I invite our captain, Vijayakumar sir. Sir, it was your brainchild. And it's gives so much happiness to see it becoming so fruitful and helpful for all the practitioners. Please, sir, for your closing remarks.
And thank you for sitting for such a long time, Vijayakumar. It's almost 3 hours.
You're
muted, sir. Sir, you're muted, sir.
Unmute yourself.
No, sir, it is almost 65 people are there till even now. So thank you so much, Sonia madam, Goyal sir, Joseph Pattani sir, George F. Mulail, Ranjith, Balachandra for their excellent questions, Dr. Dhanya, Dr. Manjusha, everybody, and Dr. Preja, everybody is there. And I think it is so far, it is one of the most successful program of this year. Almost 170 people joined, and even I think it is 10:30. Even 65 people are there, and lot of questions, and everybody was so quiet and so patient to answer to all these questions, and it was a very great learning experience. Sir, madam, everybody, thank you all. It gives us, I think it gives us strength to conduct more such sessions in this future also. Thank you so much for all. Ranjith?
Thank you so much, sir. Again, requesting all our members to please join the medical legal group. The link, the Google form was been posted in the chat box. It's just 1,000 rupees membership, but you will be getting more of such CMEs, more of such materials coming from the national group, as well as if we have a good membership under the leadership of Vijayakumar sir, we can have a medical legal branch in IAP Kerala. So we are striving for that. Please join.
Manjusha, is there any concession for non-pediatricians? Like honorary membership? Sonia ma'am.
Right now, we have not considered for associate members. Right now, we are making only pediatricians, and central IAP membership is essential. But maybe lately, once we become a chapter, maybe we will consider that. For right now, we do not have a provision.
Our environment chapter, there is a honorary membership like that. Free.
Okay. We have not yet started that.
Now over to
Dr. Danya and Preeta are classmates, actually.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. It was an excellent discussion, and respected panelist Goyal sir and our Sonia ma'am, who are the guiding force for the National Medicolegal chapter and also for our Kerala action plan. And Balinder sir, without any hesitation, he had accepted our invitation to be the moderator, and he had created the question on the very next day when I assigned the task. Thank you very much, Balinder sir and Dr. Danya, for accepting our invitation. It was clear and crisp explanation from you, from your practical experience. Georgette Mulev sir, our patron, he has vast experience. He is our solution for all the medical legal issues. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, Vijayakumar sir, for the excellent action plan. And thank you, Pattani sir and Dr. Preja and Dr. Manu, who created the wonderful brochure. Thank you all, and thank you, respected teachers. Good night. And before we conclude, let me remind our membership. You have to join the MLG group, and we will plan our monthly CME regularly. In the every month, we will come with another interesting topic in the next month. Thank you all. Good night.
And I want to say one word. It is great work done, Dr. Vijay. I am really appreciating the work being done by IAP Kerala. And soon I am really encouraging you people to make a state branch of Medical Legal Group. And we will go further more this thing, better in this. And Ranjith is doing good work. Yes. So thank you so much to everyone.
Sonia, I think you have got the invitation today, no?
Pardon?
You got the invitation for being the moderator, no? Today.
Yes.
You had. Actually, yesterday also they sent me another mail, even after my rejecting that I
okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.